Crash from Project Garage. Welcome to a new episode. First things first, it is No Shave November. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's get to business. A friend of mine graciously gave me his B&M shifter, short shifter, so that I could see what the difference is between the real thing and our beloved ISIS short shifter that I've been ranting and raving about this whole time. I immediately noticed the differences. I don't know if you saw the video where I fixed the problems with the ISIS, but in that video there are some plastic sleeves that I added in here to get rid of the rattling. Now over time the sleeves were plastic. Since they're plastic, they started wearing down. Like one of the viewers actually commented on, and he said the plastic is going to eventually wear off. He was right. It didn't break, but the plastic did wear down and the slack came back slightly. So the rattle started again. There is obviously a fix for that. Just get stronger plastic. Or the same viewer that commented suggested to use a metal sleeve, but the reason I didn't use that is because I didn't want to create any scarring of the channel in the short shifter. If you want to watch that video of how to fix the ISIS, click on the box here and it will take you to that video. Now when I was driving with this, there was no rattling. The shifting, it was very direct. There was no slack whatsoever anywhere. There was some vibration and rattling still prevalent. I believe that is because on the shifter he has a Circuit Sports metal bushing instead of the OEM bearing. So I'm assuming that's where some of the rattling is coming from. Whereas on the ISIS, I just have a regular old whatever kind of hardened plastic bearing this is. I have that on there, so that doesn't rattle as much, I guess. I'm just assuming. So in this video, I'm basically going to take these two, take them apart, show you what the differences are, so you can make your educated decision when you go out to buy a short shifter. Let's get started. As soon as you look at these two shifters, you can see there's an automatic visual difference. Now this B&M has been installed on his car for about 6 to 8 months, I want to say, and this has been installed on my car for a good year, about a year and a half now. And you can see that the B&M, you know, the finish is quality. It looks brand new still. You know, the ISIS, however, the paint started to peel off underneath the, I guess the gear oil started to wear down on the paint. And overall, the finish quality isn't as good on the ISIS. Not that it really matters, but that's just, I guess that's a factor. You also notice that the B&M comes with this boot to keep gear oil from coming out of this hole. The ISIS does not come with that boot, but you can purchase this from Nissan for about $7 or something from the dealership, and then you can just get one of these retaining clips. So that's not really a big deal. Let me go ahead and take this boot off. Let's go ahead and take these two apart. Okay, we're all zoomed in here. Go ahead and, well, I guess you can't take it out. So as soon as we take these plates off, this one I can completely take off. See the springs in here. Let me get the screwdriver. Just like the ISIS, it's got this spring, as you can see. And then we got the spring seat, which on the B&M shifter you kind of see this shim here. That's actually the spring seat, whereas on the ISIS they're using a screw turned upside down. We can go ahead and pull this shifter stock out, I believe. Yes, okay. So here's the shifter stock. Put that right here. Alright, we go ahead and take the ISIS apart. We got the spring for the ISIS, and then we've got what ISIS is using as their spring seat, which is just this screw turned upside down, and the spring just sits on there. So there's that. Okay, and then we can take this guy out. Take this off. Okay. Put this aside. Okay, the shifter plates, they're not too different, as you can see. Everything here is pretty much exactly the same, or almost exactly the same on both. You can see obviously the finish is different. This, I believe, is probably powder coated or something, where this is probably just sprayed. If you look in really closely, this ISIS shifter in here, it's just a one piece design, whereas the B&M, it looks like these channels here actually have kind of insert that keeps I guess it keeps the shifter stock from tearing down on the actual metal of the shifter plate, which is nice because that's why I didn't put metal sleeves on my ISIS short shifter stock, because I didn't want it to scar these walls here. And I guess the B&M thought of that and it added those aluminum or whatever they are inserts in there to keep that from happening. So that's nice that that's in there. So here are the inserts. These right here. Without those, these metal pieces sticking out of the shifter stock would rub up against the inside of these channels here in the short shifter. Not only would they create vibrations, but they would also wear down on the B&M shifter. Actually, if we throw this shifter stock back in here without those, we get our rattling, just like on the ISIS. So the way that B&M solved that problem was to create these kind of sleeves that actually go into the shifter. So now let's move on, get these out of the way. Okay, the shifter stock on each side, we can move on to that. Ignore these bushings because that's kind of irrelevant, since you can just get these, they're aftermarket, so this is irrelevant. I am willing to say that these shifter stocks are pretty much identical on both the ISIS and the B&M, other than the fact that the B&M has these O-rings here that get rid of the vibration between this counterweight and the actual shifter stock. Other than that, this cup here seems to want to stay on the B&M stock, which is a good thing, whereas the ISIS one kind of just flops off. This is probably not a big deal really, it's just one of those build quality things. This counterweight on the ISIS is heavier, it's actually much heavier than the counterweight that is sitting on the B&M. I'm gonna assume that that's gonna make a difference in the feel of the shifting. Kind of like if you have a heavier shift knob, the shifter feels different. So this counterweight is heavier on the ISIS, so I have a feeling that would give the ISIS a little bit of an advantage there on the way it feels. You know, given that it does have all these rattles and stuff. If it didn't have those rattles, then I feel like this counterweight would be better. So that's pretty much the difference there in the shifter stocks. Okay, so let's move on to the inner components. I already showed you the sleeves that from the inside of the shifter plate. Let's move on to the springs. Now, this is the ISIS spring, and this is the B&M spring. They look pretty identical. One doesn't feel any stiffer than the other. So in that respect, I think they're pretty similar. Where they aren't similar is the spring seat. B&M has an actual little shim that they made, and the spring sits on there. ISIS has a screw and the spring sits on like that. How this would affect the shifter, I don't know. So it may be a moot point really, the spring seats. So here's that. And we'll move on to the upper plate, is what I'm gonna call it, of both. B&M one is way lighter than the ISIS one. Not that it matters or anything, it's just a short shifter. Construction wise, you know, they're about the same. They're pretty much the same exact thing. The only difference between these two is the weight, which again doesn't really matter. So there's that. I'll go ahead and show you the screws. These are the screws that hold the upper plate into the lower plate. ISIS, B&M, again, no real relevance there. Just want to show you the difference. Okay, so in conclusion, I think I find these shifters pretty much equal. And the reason I say that is B&M is obviously superior to the ISIS in every way. It doesn't rattle, there's no play in it, the overall build quality is better, the finish is better, it comes with a boot, but it is like 200 bucks. The ISIS on the other hand is $100. So, you know, there's a $100 difference between the two, and really the only thing that you have to deal with on the ISIS is the rattling. No one's really gonna see the shifter, so the fact that the paint is coming off is not really a big deal. So what I would say is, if you have the money to spend, buy the B&M. But if you don't, I'd say go for the ISIS, because obviously both are a dramatic increase in performance over the stock shifter. That is the conclusion. If you have money, get B&M. If you don't, get ISIS. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe and stay tuned. I know I'm kind of slow with uploading videos, but it's because I'm really busy with school and stuff. But whenever I can, I will upload a video. And also, it would also help me a lot if you guys can make video responses or give me comments. Tell me what you want to see, you know, as far as installs, how to do this, how to do that. And that'll give me a little bit more of a direction on, you know, what videos to make, so I'm not just randomly making videos. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe, stay tuned, and I'll see you next time on Project Garage.